one day return to the surface. With the support of his dragon kin, Sor Ichnog succeeded in escaping from his subterranean prison. And brave souls, guided by the light, rose up and vowed to push him back. Soldiers of the Order, righteous and faithful to the Eternal, who suffered body and soul after coming into contact with draconic corruption. Rare were those who remained impervious to the depraved whispers of the dragons on the outskirts of this gaping breach. One such person was Godefroy of Clairval, Grand Knight of the Order of the Eternal. Only the most righteous of souls, guided and supported by the Eternal, were able to resist the corrupting call that led the living to damnation. These righteous few bore the feeble flame of man through the darkest shadow, and though it flickered, it would not be extinguished. Filled with these fleeting embers of hope, a few brave souls founded an alliance to carve the first breach into draconic defenses. Here, the Dragonkind's power was strong. It fused our world with that of the Banished. Godefroy of Clairval heroically broke through and shattered their defense barriers. This act of bravery, a feat of the righteous alliance of men, allowed me to lend aid to the Knights of the Order of the Eternal. Me, Almantir, Grand Oracle of Pytho-Durcan, Dragon Blood, a human altered but not consumed by the draconic blood that flows through my veins. My sisters and I have powers given to us by the dragon, but our souls remain our own. Neither dragonkin nor entirely human, and afforded extraordinary abilities by our forebearers. By those who drank the blood of the only banished dragon to have ever repented before the Eternal. These few drops of draconic blood connected our thoughts to those of the dragons. Struck by fleeting visions, we sought glimpses into their deeds and understanding of the feelings that drove them. With that understanding came a vulnerability. We soon learned that we were at the mercy of their whispers. The voices threatened to consume us, with no hope of salvation. But the formidable link that connected us to the dragons had also awakened something within us. We lived strong in the certainty that the Eternal had pardoned us for the draconic corruption in our veins. Our civilization fell alongside the blue dragon Pythodurcan, forcing us to live amongst men in the city of the Order of the Eternal. Closer to the breach made by Sir Ichnog, Godefroy, fighting fire with fire, confronted the draconic hordes. I battled by his side, but my strategy was less direct. My draconic power allowed me to open up a passageway for the men of Nurogard, all of them prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice to save what remained of humanity. Once this invisible barrier had been breached, they knew that their lives would hang by mere threads. But these warriors from the north cared little for the uncertainties of our plan. A hero's death in the heat of battle with their enemy was the greatest honor that could befall them. Led by the pale dragon blood Harold Truelson, the barbarian fleet had but one objective: to lure the enemy into the open sea and leave the path to the breach vulnerable. If a single vessel reached the coast, then this sacrifice would not have been for naught. Harold Truelson reached the hostile shore and avenged those fallen from the Toriel clan. The barbarians of Nurogard feared neither pain nor death, and they welcomed violence as they might an old and familiar friend. Truelson knew this friend better than most. His existence thus far had been one of suffering, of hardening his resolve, and of preparing to endure the worst of torments, without losing the one thing of value every warrior of his clan held dear: his soul. While the Knights of the Order of the Eternal had always been forbidden from making use of dragon's blood, the warriors from the north, staying true to their values, had taken this risk. A select few, highly trained clansmen, risking their lives in the process, had successfully imbibed the pale dragon's blood without succumbing to the corrupting voices. Among them was Trulson. To become a dragon blood barbarian, he paid the ultimate price and cast away a portion of his humanity. In exchange, he received draconic powers that he put to use for the Toriel clan, the Eternal, and humanity at large. And even if all others, from Montesky to Nuragard, recognized the courage and sacrifice of these brave warriors, there was not one that did not also regard them with sincere disgust. While there could be no doubt of their loyalty to Toriel, defender of the Eternal, their bodies, defiled by the dragon as they were, drove the rest of mankind to reject them. Trulson, for his part, cared little for his appearance. What did this matter after all, as long as his soul remained intact? The pale dragon blood had achieved his goal. The Alliance's plan, as unlikely as it was to succeed, could run its course. The barbarian waited for the signal that would tell him where to carve a bloody path through enemy defenses and lure the dragons far away from the breach. The Kongirati nomads, every bit as proud and as fearless as the warriors from the north, joined the alliance of men to help push back Saw Iknog, the Crimson Dragon. Sitting astride their draconic hybrids, these tracker archers faced the dragons steadfastly and seemingly without fear. Not one would allow the enemy to make easy prey of them. Hides, wings, teeth, blood, For the Kongarati, each draconic monstrosity was not only a threat, but also a quarry from which they could gain valuable resources. To seal this union, the Order of the Eternal entrusted her with one of their most powerful relics, a single, glimmering scale of light. If the legends are to be believed, this scale had been pried from the hide of one of the Drakeels in the heat of battle, back when these beings of light had pushed back the banished dragon lords that ventured too close to the surface. Each champion had one, and the power of their light would be needed to push Sor Iknog back into the shadows. It was up to Eula, armed with her scale of light, to cast the invocation. She would then know whether she had been right to put her trust in the Order and in joining the Alliance. power of the light was like nothing ever seen before. We heard the Dragon Lord howl into our minds, racked with pain and rage. So close to the Dracomundus, our souls suffered as from 1,000 deaths, but we held fast to our positions. Inch by inch, the divine light pushed the corruption back into the breach. And it was thus that the Banished Lord saw Ichnog disappeared once more into the shadows, where he would suffer eternal retribution. Once calm fell, we were all that was left, the sole witnesses to the feat accomplished by the Alliance of Men. But more than ever, we knew that the taint of draconic depravity still festered in the depths of the abyss, impatient to break free once more. Thus, from the union of men and their allies that stood together in the face of the draconic threat, an elite corps was established within the Order of the Eternal, the Dragon Hunters. Who knows? Perhaps the heroes that the Alliance of Men has been waiting for will be found among this unit's late.
Finally.
There they are. Nicely done, Song Khan.
They seem to have gathered here.
So that's why my brother was unable to get away. He was ambushed.
The Dragonkin and the plains are not usually so organized. They're congregating, plotting ambushes, laying traps. Something must surely have changed.
Then it's up to us to find out what that is.
It's a Dragonkin idol, and the ground, it's soaked in dragon's blood. Astria, what could this mean?
It's a place of worship.
Take cover! Dragonkin! They've come to defend their sanctuary! Is anyone hurt?
We're fine. Somehow.
The way the corrupted reacted to our presence proves it. Whatever we discovered is deathly important.
We've discovered a new kind of Dragonkin. Foul, toxic, with amphibian mutations. It's like no enemy we've ever encountered before. Astria, you're the expert in draconic rites. Do you have any idea where they could have come from?
All signs point to a ritual of corruption. And from the sheer amount of blood spilled here, we can assume they have enslaved a host of victims.
Wait a moment. Their poison seems similar, like mine. The statue is crafted from black willow. It must be from the Jaxar.
So